Hey, you jabronis! We just lost 2 hours to daylight savings time. I wonder if we could do the same with Raw and SmackDown. Nevertheless, I'm here to spring forward on some terrible hot takes, rumors, and headlines from around the wrestling sphere, such as the cost of quitting the wrestling business, free. Getting rich by stealing from the poor, $3.9 million. Having your super suspect weird-ass bromance exposed in federal court, priceless. Plus, if you're not down with WWE Creative's annual performance review, then I got 2 words for you. I quit. Then, never bring a knife to a gunfight, never bring an umbrella to a tornado, and never bring 3 corny white chicks to a Twitter battle with Jade Cargill. And in our topic, what did the big bad villainous wrestler say to the paying fan? Hey, you meanie, you hurt my feelings. That's right. It's the sensitive modern wrestler versus the paying, disrespectful fan, and how a talent's personal feelings are bad for business. Oh, you know what time it is. It's time for some highbrow opinion with some lowbrow entertainment. It's time to speculate wildly, irresponsibly. Should I end up cursed and fall into a death-like slumber to break the spell? Put me in a coffin, put my coffin in a box, ship me to Chicago, and unveil me in front of the live crowd and on pay-per-view, so that I may be booed out of the building and die, surely, from public humiliation. Let's go!
Let me get rid of cigarettes. Give me a countdown, will you?
Blood streaming, 10,000 screaming!
Yeah. Baltimore, you will never guess what I'm watching.
My name is my name.
You chose to live in Baltimore.
What's wrong with Tim?
Ew.
Hey, welcome to the show. This is and I am Timmy Baltimore. I want to thank you for making me a part of your entertainment week. Now you might be saying to yourself, Timmy, great show. How can we help a smug, crooked little jock-sniffing stooge like yourself reach the levels of popularity that are in line with your talent? Well, I call it hopping on the short bus and riding with sweet little Tim Tim. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@LiMPiN AiNT, LiMPiN AiNTEASY. Click subscribe, click like, turn on the notifications. Hell, go to the podcast. All podcasting platforms. What you're going to want to do? You're going to want to search LiMPiN AiNT with, you guessed it, Timmy Baltimore. And hey, you want to keep up with all the action, all the news, all the commentary, all the videos, what's going on in my life, my ups, my downs, my pathetic social life, and even worse love life, go to the social medias. Twitter, X, you're a weirdo, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at the handle, @Timmy Baltimore. An ominous structure built by the devil's favorite demons. Standing at 26 feet tall of certain doom, 10 tons of unforgiving cold steel, 2 miles of flesh-splitting chain, 4 bulletproof plexiglass pods, just in case one of the wrestlers pulls out a gun for the first time ever, and 1 masked man unmasked in the shocking swerve plot twist of the century that absolutely no one saw coming. The unmasking of the masked man #2 and the revelation that Seth freaking Rollins is back was just one of the many things at the Elimination Chamber PLE that went over smashingly. Something else that was met with tremendous fanfare was the other big reveal of the night. What was in the box? What was in the damn box? It's a weird little ghoulish man and the once-bitten dancers, here to drive a stake through the heart of sports entertainment with their groovy graveyard smash. A little Manhausen named Danhausen has been released into the WWE Universe And guess what? The universe responds. Just so I can follow here. A box arrives on Monday Night Raw where Raw General Manager Adam Pearce goes to open it. And the delivery boy who just dropped the box off goes, Mr. Adam Pearce. As you can see here, read the message. It says, don't open to Elimination Chamber. First of all, you delivery boy. Your job is to deliver the package, not tell me when to open it. So then Pearce says, hey, delivery boy, since you're in charge here, why don't we deliver this box to GM Nick Aldis over on the Blue Show, SmackDown? Then the box arrives at SmackDown, and Nick Aldis walks in and goes, a bloody box. It's like, I don't know what he said. I didn't watch that episode. So whatever the case, I think then it was shipped to the Elimination Chamber, where both general managers, standing on opposite sides of the box, pry it open. Crowbars. As the front end of the box goes timber and crashes with a billow of dust spraying everywhere. And Pearce and Aldis look at each other, look in the box, and kind of go, screw it. And it's our problem now, evidently. I'm sorry. So this box, no one was concerned about its contents. What if it was a freaking bomb? Oh, never mind. It's not a bomb. Worry not. Don't fret. It's just 7 people in a crate. 7 people that we shipped around from SmackDown to Raw to SmackDown to the Elimination Chamber. 7 people in a box, and it wasn't flagged once for human trafficking or anything of the sort. So when the GMs open up the box, when Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis pry open the box, only to find a coffin inside, they don't investigate any further? They're just like, oh, okay, well, I wonder if they still have those brownies in catering. So good for Danhausen, right? Because I have it on good authority that the WWE had some other ideas for what would emerge from the box at the Elimination Chamber. What or who, right? So I happened to get my hands on some of the rejected What's in the Box ideas. Oh my God, it's Green Shirt Guy. Green Shirt Guy. The second pitch for who was going to be coming out of the box. But it was rejected at the last moment in favor of Danhausen. Let's take a look. Oh no, the lawyer from Jurassic Park. You know, the guy on the toilet that gets eaten. Now we have one more, one final rejected What's in the Box idea. Now, before I show you this one came so close to happening. Don't you let out that antidote. It's Travis Scott. Don't you open up that box, yo. Great, beautiful, grand. Those are rejected What's in the Box ideas. Drop my pen, drop my paper. It's time for headlines. Telegram, telephone, telewrestler. It's the Stooge Report. Oh, you didn't know? It, I'm out. That's right, the Road Dogg, real name Brian James, has quit. He's resigned from the WWE creative team where he served as co-lead writer on SmackDown. And this allegedly comes after he received his annual performance report. Now, I guess we can kind of surmise what the report said, because never in the history of performance reports or employees has a report ever said, hey man, you're killing it. You're doing great. Keep up the good work. And that employee goes, oh, sweet. Now I can quit. And it's an interesting development, especially after what we saw of the Road Dogg on WWE's Unreal Season 2 on Netflix, where he was portrayed as, a really sweet but kind of bumbling, emotional ball of nerves. And I get it. That job is very thankless, and frustration and anxiety and self-doubt, self-loathing. Even when I read this and hear about all this, and then I watch Unreal, I can't help but kind of come to the conclusion here that this may be corporate wrestling's version of managing someone out of their position. Now, what does managing someone out of their position mean? Basically, it's like a passive aggressive way of psychological warfare to make a job so uncomfortable that the person eventually just wants to quit. So you don't have to fire them. It avoids confrontation, and it's pretty diabolical, but very effective. And it comes in incremental steps. So first, you find yourself frozen out, iced out. Every idea you pitch is dog. All the talent that bitch about you and your creative, and it never fails. Talent certainly does that. Before it may have been water off a duck's back, now it's giving gravity and credence. Then they give you no-win situations, unsalvageable tasks. They'll ask you questions that have no right answers. So when you answer them, you're wrong. Next comes a doozy. Public humiliation. This is to lower your stock in the eyes of your peers, subordinates, everybody. Good example of that would be, I don't know, putting the Road Dogg on Unreal and only showing the moments where he's talking about my heart hurts and, Chelsea Green's on to something. She's got something. Yeah, no, that's why we hired her and put her on our television show. So they're not making him look very, skilled at his job. And that's apparently on purpose, I think, especially after all this has come to light. So when you put a stink on somebody, that's what the public humiliation's about. It's about putting a stink on someone. And when you got a stink on you in wrestling, everybody knows. When you got heat, everybody knows. And people won't even sit next to you in catering. They're like, don't you f***ing up my life, man. Then they get petty, even more petty, with the managing someone out of their position. They start to take away things you love, things you've worked on, things you've built, things they know are important to you. That angle that you've been working on, that one pitch, that one piece of creative, it's not yours anymore. Not that it ever was, but you ain't working on it. Allegedly, Road Dogg had a personal appearance scheduled, and it wasn't arranged by WWE. This was his own personal appearance, and these legends can make tens of thousands of dollars on these personal appearances. So WWE said, sure, go. And he agreed with the vendor, and Road Dogg was going to head out to that personal appearance. And at the last moment, WWE said, hey, sorry, dog. Sorry, diggity dog. Need you back at the office. So that's pretty deliberate. That seems to me like now, kind of f***ing with his money. And so everybody's on the bandwagon now. The narrative has changed. Your name is mud. You've been hit with 2 flying shoulder tackles. You swing, you miss, you get hit with the spinning belly to back suplex. You're looking up at the lights wondering, where the hell have I gone wrong? Here comes the 5-knuckle shuffle. And now they're just having fun f***ing you up. So you pop up and you think that you're not taking the shit anymore. You're not taking it. And when you swing, you feed right in to an attitude adjustment. Now, they could pin you, but they don't. Instead, that's right, they lock you in the STFU, the performance review, the STF performance review. And you have no choice. You have no choice but to tap out and quit. And then take that long walk out of the building with the security escort, who's the guy that you talk football with every Monday morning, leading you on your walk of shame. Somebody cue Ron Simmons. Damn. The federal trial of former WWE superstar Ted DiBiase Jr. is underway, and it's taken a very bizarre turn this week. Teddy Jr., the son of WWE Hall of Famer, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase Jr. faces and is charged with 13 criminal counts including conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, all in federal court for his alleged participation and kind of being portrayed as the ringleader, allegedly, of this welfare scandal where they're reporting about $3.9 million worth of taxpayer money meant to fund government programs that were there to help the poorest people in Mississippi, one of the nation's poorest states. Teddy's alleged to have siphoned money from those accounts. Now, Teddy's younger brother, Brett DiBiase, who also started to train while I was at FCW, is wrapped up in this ordeal as well, as it appears Brett is the one who introduced Teddy to the former Mississippi Department of Human Services director, a guy named John Davis. John Davis, pictured here, handsome John, has turned federal witness against Teddy. His testimony has been bonkers, to say the least, as a super suspect set of text messages between the former department head, Davis, and the two brothers DiBiase was read in federal court. There's an oddly intimate relationship between younger brother Brett and John Davis, and it came to light when Davis has gone on the record, as has Brett, saying how close the two were. And the text messages, which should have shed some light on this relationship, seemed to raise more questions than they provided answers as to what the is actually going on around here. In one of the texts to John Davis, the youngest of the DiBiase brothers, he writes, "I don't know where I stand with you. Every time I think of you, I want to be with you." To which Davis replies to Brett, "I love you, I love you, I love you." Sorry. Upon receiving that message from Davis, Brett replied, "It's only when I'm with you I feel safe enough to sleep. Call me presumptuous, but it sounds to me like these two gentlemen, Brett and Davis, may have had their fingers dipped in more than the state of Mississippi's cookie jar. And that's fine. They're two consenting adults. Whatever, right? Except for the fact that, oh yeah, they're stealing from the poor and giving to themselves the rich. Davis's entire operation was being exposed, and whatever relationship between Brett DiBiase and John Davis was happening, it was probably put on pause out of fear and paranoia of who would flip, who would take the deal first, who would become a federal witness. Yeah, by the way, as I've already said, the obvious answer to this is John Davis, handsome John. He took the deal. He said, "Yeah, yes, please." As it appears, Brett also pled guilty, but I don't believe that it doesn't appear that he's at least turning federal witness against his own older brother. Davis testified that he gave Brett a job. That's when Davis was on the stand last week. He said he gave Brett a job with the Department of Human Services after Brett had recently returned from a drug rehabilitation center for substance abuse issues, trying to get his life back on track. Unfortunately, that's not how it went. It was then, during that time, that Davis and Brett grew close. And Brett then introduced Davis to his older brother, Teddy Jr. And from there, Davis testifies that things kind of went off the rails. These text messages were also exchanged, some of them between John Davis and Ted Jr. So the ones between Brett and John Davis about, "I only feel safe with you, I love you, I love you, I love you." These ones between Davis and Teddy have a not as much of a like a romantic vibe, but they're definitely really crazy. So Davis texted Teddy, and it was presented in court. "I will freaking die for you." Okay, that may be true, Mr. Davis. You may be willing to die for Ted DiBiase Jr., but you sure ain't willing to go to jail for decades for Ted DiBiase Jr. So then Ted Jr. replies to Davis's text message about, "I will freaking die for you." And this is Davis's unsolicited vow of pledging his life, his death to the former WWE superstar. Teddy Jr. replied with, I can see him saying this, and that's why it's funny to me. It would be my honor to die for you, bro. An honor. An honor to die for you. Like, to who would it be an honor for? It's rumored that a lot of like religious texts were going back and forth about God, and take from that what you will. You know, a little religion mixed in with a little money laundering, mixed in with a little homoerotic romance. Golly. I can provide a little bit of insight, I think, at least to the personalities of the DiBiase brothers, because I spent a year of my life working and being friends with both Teddy and Brett. My time in FCW. Now, there was a list of about 7 guys who were the prize future WWE superstars. WWE had ensured that Dusty would pay particular attention to these guys. They knew that they were special. And Ted DiBiase Jr. was most certainly at the top of that list. Now, the dynamic between Ted and Brett, it was very complicated, sometimes tumultuous. They loved each other, you could tell, but there was definitely Ted was in charge. You know what I'm saying? Teddy was in charge. And he was the big brother. That's what he was. Ted was the big brother who did wrong but could do no wrong. If that makes sense. Brett, he was really nice, maybe overly polite, but it seemed like he couldn't catch up to the love and admiration that his big brother received. And what I think happened with this John Davis, Brett DiBiase, Teddy DiBiase situation, and this is pure speculation. I think what happened is that Ted Jr. saw a mark. He saw a mark in John Davis. He said, this guy's handling millions of dollars. I bet we can work him. And he probably, very likely, saw that his younger brother Brett had a very close relationship with this man, John Davis. And now he has a bit of leverage, does Teddy, to exploit the man. Now, I'm not saying he strong-armed this guy at all. I don't know what happened. This is all speculation. I think Teddy used his charm, his charisma, because everybody wanted to hang out with Ted DiBiase. Tall, he's handsome, he's he loves Jesus. He's got a lot of great stories. He's very he when he talks to you, he's very he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. Very good at that. So I could see a guy that looked like that getting swept up in the riz of Ted DiBiase Jr. So I think that's what happened. I think that this thing got away from John Davis. I think John Davis may have probably thought maybe we'll just crack the door. Okay, I'll give him a few. I'll let him have some fun. I'll get over with the wrestlers. And then suddenly, next thing he knows, it's $4 million out the door. And the feds are pounding on his door and taking him to federal jail. This has all the makings of like a movie. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase's 2 sons, steal millions of dollars from the poorest people in the poorest state in the nation. I liked Teddy and I liked Brett. In fact, I think back on it at Cody's wedding, Teddy was there. And before we parted ways, he looked at me and he said, Timmy, I'm starting up some companies. I swear to God, he said this, starting up some companies and I could use a guy like you. I bet you could, man. I bet you could. That's a call I'm glad I didn't take. Well, wow, man, everybody's got a price, but is that price worth decades in federal pound me in the butt prison? Think not. And it's really, really hard to justify, if these crimes are true, not sending Teddy to prison. I think the jury would say it would be an honor to convict you, bro. Kayfabe all that. You didn't hear it from me. That's the Stooge Report.
What kind of awful decisions will you people make tonight? I mean, after all, you chose to live in Baltimore, Maryland. You can move,
When I was 8 years old, my stepdad took me to a WCW live event at the Baltimore Arena. I had been to a number of WWF house shows previously. You looked around there and you'd see a lot of kids. I saw a lot of kids my age at the time, a lot of families. When my stepdad and I walked into the Baltimore Arena for this WCW show, the vibe was completely different and we noticed it immediately. Not so many kids my age, not so many families. They were replaced by old smokes, leftover remnants from the territory days and the NWA. The main event of the evening, Nature Boy Ric Flair versus a blonde-haired, colorfully face-painted Stinger. Sting was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Flair was challenging for that title. Now, behind my stepdad and I sat this little, frail, blue-haired old lady who was quiet as a church mouse the entire evening. Didn't make a peep, but looks can be deceiving because when the bell rung for that main event and the Nature Boy and the Stinger were about to lock up like a demon possessed, this little old lady pops out of her seat and at the top of her lungs yells, "F him up, Sting!" And I look at my stepdad like, is that okay? Are we allowed to do that here? And my stepdad, is one of his favorite stories. He leans into my ear, whispers, he goes, "Look, just don't tell your mother about that part, right?" That was one of my first experiences, at least the ones that I remember, with really rowdy wrestling fans. And I'm going to get a bit philosophical here, but in the live medium, the relationship between the audience and the performer, it's a sacred one, right? Of course. And I would venture to say that the relationship between the wrestling fan and the wrestler may be one of the most visceral and intimate of them all. Because there's nothing in the world quite like professional wrestling. There's no other form of entertainment like it. It's part rock concert, it's part sporting event, and it's part melodrama. Now, what other live event medium is there such a profound action-reaction relationship as the one that exists between the wrestling fan and the athlete entertainers in that ring? If you remember, during the pandemic, when there was no crowd, when we were in the Thunderdome and people were on TV screens, it looked like that 80s game, Guess Who? That wasn't professional wrestling. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was like window dressing. The entire epidemic era presented as a soulless type of wrestling. The wrestlers, the physicality, the drama, the bells, the whistles, all make up the skeleton, the organs, the anatomy of professional wrestling. But it's the live audience that is the soul, which breathes life into the medium. Today, the dynamic of that relationship of wrestling fan and wrestler is in danger. I kid you not, it's in trouble. Because many of today's young wrestlers are Gen Z kids. They're a part of what's called the Crystal Generation, also known as snowflakes. They're a youthful generation who are deemed a little bit soft, a little bit fragile, a little bit emotionally entitled, and it has begun to have a negative effect on the interaction and relationship between wrestling fans and wrestlers. There has been a well-documented series of instances of professional wrestlers, professional athlete entertainers, and performers allegedly trained in the art of physicality and crowd psychology becoming so offended, so appalled by the words or chants of members of the paying audience that they have gone as far as to not only call out these audience members, but have also taken steps to have them removed from the event entirely. Here's some examples. April 7th, 2024, WrestleMania 40, of all places, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, one of the hardest and most critical wrestling cities in the entire world. It's Bayley versus Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. A fan, it was reported, was allegedly escorted out of his paid-for seat at WrestleMania for chanting, "Women can't wrestle" during that match. May 8th, 2024, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. This was a post AEW Dynamite ROH TV taping or whatever it is, Honor Club, internet tape, whatever they're doing with Ring of Honor. It was Sky Blue versus Rachel Ellering. Now, eyewitnesses reported that a man seated in the front row, get this, holding his child, was heard making derogatory remarks towards Sky Blue. This fan was first admonished by his fellow audience members, which I say fine. Lord of the Flies out there, right? Let the streets take care of the streets, know what I mean? But it didn't stop there. As referee Aubrey Edwards, you know, the performer pretending to be the authority figure of the fake girl fight, leapt into action, calling security over to remove this horrible human being and his wretched offspring from the building at once for hurting the feelings of Sky Blue, the female wrestler playing the villain in this particular match. Now, Sky Blue was visibly upset by the whole ordeal. In response, various female performers industry-wide tweeted supportive messages saying that such offensive, misogynistic behavior had no place in pro wrestling and that the honor and dignity of these performers must be protected at all costs. Our hero of the day, AEW official Aubrey Edwards, took time to tweet down at us lowly common folk from atop her soapbox. And here's what she said. If you yell disgusting, vile, hateful things at my coworkers, I will make sure your ass gets kicked out. There's no place for that in wrestling. Heckling is fine, but when you've made the performers, me included, feel uncomfortable in their place of work, you've gone too far. Disgusting, vile, hateful. There's no place for that in pro wrestling. Heckling is fine. Gee, thanks. Where would the wrestling community be? Where would we be without the paragon of virtue, Aubrey Edwards, to set our moral compasses straight? You know, Aubrey, maybe if you spent much time enforcing the made-up rules of the worked match as you do enforcing your own made-up code of conduct for the fans, we could get back to having some halfway sensible wrestling matches on TV. Just saying. January 4th, 2026, WWE's Saturday night's main event, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. During a women's tag match, a fan tapes and posts on social media his interaction with Roxanne Perez. Now, this interaction incites the internet wrestling community to be the white knights that nobody asked for. You gotta love these dudes, right? You know the types. The big fat zilches tripping over their own swollen feet to be the first to defend the honor of the fair lady. Yeah. Ass crack exposed because the only belt they own is a replica IC title. Their entire female experience is watching Rhea Ripley's career and moderating a Yoshi subreddit, where they champion for more women's matches on TV and swear that they don't sexualize any female talent, but simply love their work rate. Okay, buddy, why don't you prove how chivalrous you are and show us your search history? That's what I thought. Getting back on track, Saturday night's main event, Montreal. Let's take a look at what this complete monster of a human being, this sickening, hateful, disgusting piece of shit, said to Roxanne Perez.
You keep f***ing popping. Get the f*** up. What are we doing, bro?
Because not only did this fan apologize on Twitter, but apparently Liv Morgan got involved and smoothed things over between the fan and Roxanne. And the fan posted this on social media, and it blows my mind. He said, I got too caught in the moment, and my tone was a little disrespectful. Matter of fact, it wasn't a little disrespectful. It was very disrespectful. I was just chirping at a heel during the match. That's something we do all the time. It's very common, and I never really meant any harm. I want to thank Liv Morgan for kind of setting the whole thing up. Liv saw me in Toronto. She came up to me. We set it up. And then Roxanne came and we just kind of talked things through. I apologized. I will never go out of my way to disrespect someone that gives me entertainment. I walk in the arena. I'm very respectful to all the guards, all the security guards, all the arena staff, all of this mess because of a misunderstanding, misconception. One more time, the video.
You keep flopping. Get the up. What are we doing, bro?
You keep flopping. Get the up. What are we doing, bro? What are we doing, bro? Apologize for what? Telling the heel to stop flopping around and get up? And Liv Morgan did what? Organized a ringside truce? And what? Signed a treaty between a paying fan and a worker? What is this, the Geneva Convention? I'm sorry, am I in the Twilight Zone here? Are you with me? Being a wrestler, a heel at that, who gets butthurt by a fan who boos or jeers or heckles, and yes, even curses at them. It's like being an open heart surgeon who throws up at the sight of blood. Now, before anyone starts losing their give me a chance to acknowledge the obvious here. Yes, I do realize that the examples I've provided all involve female talent. So let me get this right out in the open. I can't stand women haters. I don't like dudes who are women haters. Not cool. I hate women haters. How about that? And just because a female talent wears scantily clad attire to show their bodies doesn't make it cool or right to yell hateful, misogynistic things at them. It doesn't. That being said, we have to see things for how they are. As performers who are playing characters, we have to be self-aware. As Martin Sheen says in The Departed, it's my favorite line, and it applies directly to professional wrestling.
We deal in deception here. What we do not deal with is self-deception.
We deal with deception here. What we do not deal with is self-deception. Meaning, we're putting on a con. We work the people, but we do not work ourselves. We do not lie to ourselves. We do not con ourselves. We deal with deception here. What we do not deal with is self-deception. This is the professional wrestling business, sports entertainment, showbiz, and one of the things they're selling is sex, sexiness, and sex. Why? Because sex sells. When you mix together a potion of a rowdy environment with thousands of people screaming and pyro and loud music, and teenage and young adult males, maybe a few beers deep, lowering their inhibitions, all jammed together, watching beautiful, badass women dressed in sexy costumes, I'm just saying, it's a situation primed for an immature, uninhibited, hormone-crazed man boy to possibly say something sort of offensive, maybe disrespectful, maybe misogynistic. So we gotta see things for how they are. Take Francine, the mother queen of extreme. Anyone who knows or has even ever met Francine will tell you that she's one of the nicest and most gracious women, hell, people in the entire industry. This is a woman now whom every time she hit that curtain, an entire building rained down in unison, chanting, "She's a crack." Clap, 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 clap. A crack. Listen, Francine is anything but. However, she did what a pro does. She took it on the chin. She allowed it to become part of her overness. And when she had the opportunity, she shoved it right back in their faces. Now, it's not just me. It's not just me who is pro-paying fan and critical of these soft-ass wrestlers. In fact, a pretty big name recently spoke out and agrees. Cody Rhodes, Sports Entertainment's Tom Brady, appeared on Barstool Sports Wrestling with Brandon F. Walker, where the American Nightmare had this to say about the delicate nature of today's wrestler and how they react to toxic fans.
They aren't all gonna like you.
Right.
You gotta get over it. We all of a sudden have gotten so sensitive to what fans say. Outside of moral and ethical craziness,
Sure.
you buy a ticket, there's no code of conduct. You can tell somebody they suck. You can tell somebody they're fat. It doesn't matter. It's a fun event for fans to blow off steam. Yeah, I know that's a controversial take, but if you're a good, upstanding human being, I don't think you need to give yourself a 35 rules to attend a wrestling show.
Bravo. Bravo. This is how a gimpy man. This is how I clap with my dead hand. Bravo. I couldn't have said it better myself, but I'm going to try. Look, perhaps this viewpoint that I share with Cody, the WWE champion, by the way, has something to do with the fact that we came up in the same era. We came up literally in the same place, the same time as friends, had our Kentucky Fried training under the same learning trees of Danny Davis, Al Snow, Robert Gibson, and of course the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Both shared all those mentors. But Cody hits nearly every point right on the money. The fans aren't all gonna like you. Hell, at one point, the heels used to call this heat and making the fans dislike you to the point of buying a ticket to see you get what you had coming to you. Well, that was kind of the point and a big part of the job. If you're a babyface and the fans still don't like you, maybe you're not a good babyface. Or maybe that fan is the type of guy who roots for the bad guys in the movies. Or maybe he just wants to go against the grain. Or maybe he's just a prick looking to get under your skin. And you know what? All these possibilities are fine. It's okay. You gotta get over it. All of it. You gotta get over yourselves. Take the job seriously. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. You're dressing up as make-believe characters and fake fighting for people watching at home and in the arena. The mere notion is ridiculous. You gotta get over your feelings, your personal feelings. They do not trump what's best for business under the bright lights of a live wrestling event where you are being paid to perform. Your personal feelings are not more important than the paying fans' right to say mean things to you. Further quoting Cody, you can tell somebody they suck. You can call them fat. That's funny to me. I don't know why. Listen, if you can't handle the fans body shaming you or telling you that you suck, you're in the wrong business. This is a cosmetic and aesthetic industry that draws money off of people looking and acting superhuman. Nobody wants to pay to see their next door neighbor with the dad bod wrestle. No. If fans call you fat and being fat isn't your gimmick and it bothers you, lose some weight. If fans call you skinny and being skinny isn't your gimmick and it bothers you, eat a burger. But don't cry foul on the paying audience for calling out your insecurities and inadequacies that you're too lazy to work on, too entitled to take valid criticism. For God's sakes, you're a performer, voluntarily placing yourself in the public eye. What planet am I on? It's a fun event for the fans to blow off steam. The live event experience for the pro wrestling fan is cathartic. It's a healthy release valve. And this is something that many of us in wrestling, we've lost complete touch with this. People go through the monotony, the struggle of their daily lives where they have to hold themselves together. And these people get to take some of that hard-earned money that they have made by eating sandwiches day in and day out. And they get to buy a ticket. And for one special night, after they've gotten everyone in the car, left the comfort of their home, fought traffic, found parking, waited in line, bought concessions and a t-shirt, sit in their seat for just a few precious hours, they can forget themselves and check out of their own lives. They can take all that anger, all that disappointment, frustration, all their sadness, their anxiety, their hurt, their pain, their joy, all these big human emotions that they have bottled up inside, for fear of releasing them in their daily lives, would most certainly be like pressing the self-destruct button. They get to take all of that and dump it all freely on the wrestlers and openly indulge in their wild, baser selves without fear of judgment or recourse. Except that last part's no longer true, is it? Because now, when they buy a ticket, they can't cut loose. They can't tell one of these alleged adult professional performers who voluntarily puts themselves in the public eye, you suck. You eat shit. Your mother's a whore. And now that they can't forget themselves, now that they can't wall out at the wrestling show, where does all that pent up emotion go? Where's it go? Look, there's no place for racism or overtly sexual or hateful misogyny, hate speech. If it's something that if your work found out you were yelling, you'd be fired for, then you probably shouldn't be hollering that at anyone, even the wrestlers. There it is. Can we agree on that? Whenever I'm working with young talent who come to the back after their match and they're upset at something a fan has said to them, and you better believe that if they had the power, they would kick them out. But I tell them this: better in here than out there. In my mind, it's about control. It's about who's in charge. Professional wrestlers should either be masters or always in the pursuit of mastering crowd psychology, manipulating and orchestrating not just mass emotional reactions, but the right mass emotional reactions at the right time. That's the job. That's the business. And as a professional in your business, you cannot take things personally. Personal is the enemy of business. If you lose control of your emotions, you get all up in your own feels between curtain to curtain, just how in the hell do you plan on being the conductor for the emotions of tens of thousands of paying customers who are there live and millions watching around the globe? Is it not a great honor to perform for these people who have paid to see you? Is it not a great honor to be the target of all their love, their joy, and yes, their hate, their anger, their vitriol, all their big emotions, just a few precious hours? And if the little blue-haired old lady in the 11th row wants Sting to kick Ric Flair's ass, she should be able to yell at the top of her lungs, "Come up, Sting!" at the wrestling matches without having to worry about being publicly shamed, doxxed, canceled, or thrown out her bony old ass into the streets. Because I warn you, this is the warning. This is where the danger comes in that I talked about in the beginning. I warn y'all, we keep going down this road, if we keep treating our fans like school children in a library, we keep publicly shaming them, calling us fat, ugly. We keep ejecting them, as the top guy in the industry just said. We're blowing off some steam. Soon, they won't cheer and they won't boo. They won't say anything for fear of getting carried away or saying the wrong thing. And as they're sitting there quietly now, indifferent to everything you're doing, they'll realize that they're sitting in silence, watching grown adults in spandex, pretending to fight and jumping through furniture. And then they'll say, "This is f***ing dumb." And then they'll stop coming.
Come, prepare, brother, in Baltimore.
WrestleMania is right around the corner. And one of the marquee matches is the winner of the Women's Elimination Chamber, Rhea Ripley, taking on the WWE Women's Champion, Jade Cargill. Now, what's that? Is it Cargill or Cargill? It's Cargill, right? It's Cargill? I've been saying Cargill. Is it? Wait a minute. Which one is it? Is it Cargill or challenging Jade for that title? However, in true WWE fashion, the real heat for this matchup is happening outside the ring in the form of a Twitter battle. It's far more interesting than anything that's on the television product. Now, the shots that have been fired are not just between champion and challenger. In fact, from the sidelines, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven thrown in their 2 cents. This thing gets pretty ugly. Now, like any story told by a woman, this one's hard to follow. That's why Timmy Baltimore is here to break this one down, take down the whole debacle like the world star parking lot brawl that it is, and to take you under the surface for what's being said without being said. And trust me, it's a doozy. It all starts with a fan-made graphic that was talking about this is Rhea Ripley's 7th Wrestlemania or 6th title she's challenging for, a polished piece, blah, blah, who cares, right? But Rhea decided, hey, I'm going to retweet that. And she did so. And she did it with the caption, guess, ... I'm that bitch. Which was a dig, obviously, at Jade Cargill's catchphrase from AEW. Not the one, cut the shit, Tony, which is great, by the way. But the one that, I'm that bitch, she's that bitch. Rhea draws first blood. She may live to regret this. As Cargill responds, no, boo, you are the section option. At me next time so I see it. Well, I think the women's champ meant second option, but she was so fired up, her Twitter thumbs were moving too damn fast, she didn't proofread. It's understandable. Now Rhea replies, all you seem to do is talk, and that's literally it. Oof. It's a backhanded way of implying that Jade's purposely kept outside the ring because, her only weak point may be the bell to bell, which is unfortunate because it's wrestling. But look, this girl has the promo. She definitely has the look. I'm not kidding. Listen, I'm not one in a professional environment to go gaga over a beautiful woman. I'm telling you, I met this woman at AEW once, and she was the most gorgeous woman I have ever seen in my life. I was like that cartoon dog with the Jade snaps back. Talk like the hours you spend talking to creative. Now we're getting somewhere. Shots fired from the SS baddie. Rhea takes some shrapnel from the live rounds. Sidebar. So, just so you know, now we're shooting. And why the hell not? Every great work has a little bit of truth planted within it just to keep it spicy. From the sound of it, Rhea is spending a little too much time politicking or pitching to creative at best. And that's kind of like an inside thing. See, creative encourages you to be proactive, especially if you're a top talent like Rhea Ripley is. And they encourage everybody to be proactive, come up with ideas. Sometimes they don't really mean it. Sometimes they're just kind of like telling you that, and you're just a pain in the ass. But with Rhea, I'm sure it's legit. However, if you're not in that position, or even if you are and want to take a dig, it's kind of a way of calling somebody a kiss ass or brown nose or a politicker. However, I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. And I'm hesitant to touch this one even with my cane. When she's talking about creative, spending time talking to creative, I don't think she means Ed Koskey. I think she means creative. And I'm not saying that this is what it is. However, Rhea's reaction kind of tells me that what Jade is insinuating, Rhea may be spending a little too much time playing the game. So Rhea says, Oh, you're funny. That's funny. Now, you really do be talking out your ass because everything you say is bullshit. Don't spread lies on my name, you dumb bee. Oh no, Rhea, get it together, girlfriend. Thou doth protest too much. All that hemming and hawing and terrible comebacks are kind of betraying you, and it makes it look like old Jade may have caught the scent and be on to something. It's at this point where I wouldn't be surprised if what is being insinuated were true, that maybe somebody like Rhea got a text message from somebody else very high up in the company and, brought up that this implication may have been stated under the surface and that somebody can't call and text Jade and tell her to knock it off. I mean, he can, but he's not going to because that would stooge off what she's saying. And I'm sure Rhea was like, well, I'll just delete it. And this person was like, no, don't delete it. You'll give it more oxygen. Rhea, after probably receiving this call or text, if that were the case, in this imaginary hypothetical, Rhea dials it back from the Attitude Era. She gets kind of PG. She starts posting old interviews of Jade, putting Rhea over as a dream opponent. Take a look.
Women's division, who are you most looking forward to face?
I keep getting this question all the time. Right now, I'm guessing Rhea Ripley. She's at the top of her game right now.
Womp womp. That's your comeback? Posting some interviews where she's saying, hey, I'd like to work you? Sorry, Rhea. You are cooked and bleeding out. You lost this one 2 tweets ago, and the Angels are calling your name. Let's see what Jade had to say in response. Oh, God. Another victim. Will you girls lighten up and stop crying? We haven't even started yet. Oh, man, Jade is not playing around at all. Here she comes again. That was the jab. Here comes the right cross. Hit dogs will holla. Holla, holla, holla. Now, listen, I have to admit, my whiteness kind of took over here, and this one kind of lost me for a moment. I was like, what is a hit dog? Is a hit dog like a singing dog, like a dog with a hit record? No. Dummy. It's like a scolded dog. How stupid am I? Regardless. See, Jade knows she's got homegirl on the ropes, and she's not about to let up. Here comes Jade. I'd just be talking. And which member of our social media team found that video for you? Because you know they always have to find a way to keep you on top into Mania. Oh, snap, girlfriend. The ref should stop this one. Rhea is losing a lot of blood and is on baby deer legs. Oh, man. Not only do we have a dig at Rhea playing the political game with people on WWE's payroll that they actually do provide health insurance for, but the quotes on top seem to suggest something sexual, a little bit of fornicating. Who could Jade be referring to? Then, like that one friend who comes to break up the fight and gets knocked the out just for their efforts, here comes Chelsea Green, popping in, throwing in her 2 cents. Rhea is proof that you can be kind, respectful, and the most talented wrestler in the world. Girl, Chelsea. Man. Look, I'm not even mad at Chelsea for that corny ass shit. Her character is like Karen, and that was some Karen ass maneuvering there. But Jade takes a little mercy on Chelsea and says, it's no point to even go embarrass you on this app. You always have something to say about everything. In other words, mind your business. Now, Chelsea, man, she should have just stayed at home. Here's her reply. Damn, hit dogs really do holler, woof, woof. See, this is why white girls shouldn't argue with sisters. They suck at talking. Hi, Chelsea. Those Uggs look super fetch. Don't forget to pick up your pumpkin spice latte on the way to the Katy Perry concert. Bye. This one has officially gone off the rails. Jade pie faces Chelsea's corny ass, Keep dap dancing, Chelsea. Woof, woof. She's saying, dance for that biscuit, girl. Now, it's about to get real stupid. Because this whole thing started with Jade whooping Rhea's ass, Rhea selling, she can't recover. In pops Chelsea trying to break it up. She gets her clock cleaned. And while Chelsea's on the cell with the corny equivalent of, stop fighting my friend, she's nice, you're hurting her, can't we all just get along? Look who up and comes to Chelsea's rescue. Yeah, you got it, a member of the Secret Service. Watch out for that big girl. Watch out for the big girl.
Watch out for the big girl. Watch out for the big girl. Watch out for the big girl.
Watch out. Watch out. Watch out for the big girl. Big girl. Big girl. Big girl. Big girl. Piper Niven. With the quit hitting my friend roar. Here she comes and she says, who the F even said anything about you? Contrary to your belief, the world doesn't revolve around you. No point to even embarrass you on this app. Give you enough ring time, and you'll do it yourself. Oh no! Piper reared back, swung, and completely whiffed it and busted her ass. Contrary to your belief, who the hell says that in a talking session? When she entered the frame, we were hoping the big girl could fight. But looks can be deceiving. You know, Piper now thinks she really zinged Jade with that talk to the hand because the face ain't listening type of comeback. But Jade drops a bloodied, battered Rhea. Chelsea, her eyes swollen, getting a goose egg. She's already off to the side. Jade now has the ability to turn her full attention to Piper Niven. And here's what she says. Piper, I hope you're healing okay. Can't wait to give you some ring time. Ooh, a rare miss by Jade. She must be blown up and tired from whooping all this ass. Can Piper pick her ass up off the ground after whiffing that first punch and finally land a free shot at the dominant Cargill? Cargill? Yeah, maybe by the time you're back from your many vacations, I'll have finally recovered. Lick my ring, you boot. Another swing and a miss by Piper. Oh boy. Oh no. Looks like Jade has regained her wind. What has she got to say to Piper? That's above your pay grade, Piper. Relax. Jade dots Piper right in the nose. Damn. Piper's leaking. She's got her head leaned back. She's saying, loyalty is priceless. Something you wouldn't understand about. Besides, I'd beat the brakes off of you for free. The hell is this woman yapping about, bro? Is this like a cultural difference? She's like Scottish or English or something? Because these comebacks are completely dog. Now, things have just gotten ugly. Sirens ring out in the distance. And it appears, yep, Chelsea, holding an ice pack to her goose-egged eye, she has phoned the law. She's saying, send the cops, send the SWAT, send the National Guard. There's a girl beating us up. Meanwhile, Rhea, oh man, she's been out. I mean, she's been like a rag doll on the ground ever since the second tweet. She's bloodied. She's a battered heap. And Piper Niven is just sitting on the curb trying to pinch off her nose that's bleeding profusely, still talking her nonsense. As Jade lets these girls know one more time for the road just what time it is. Y'all can't with me on this app. Y'all better leave me alone. Oh, you goddamn right. She ain't lying. Jade Cargill just single-handedly kicked the shit out of 3 grown women with her thumbs and without speaking a word. What a woman. Oh, man. Now, mommy, realizing that she truly cannot with Jade Cargill on that app of Twitter, tries a different app. She uses Instagram. And now Rhea posts the following words in her story, which is interesting because the story is almost like you might not see it. It's like posting but not posting. And here's what Rhea says. Not having fun, not friends, learn to work, and never lie to defame someone's real human character by breaking the fourth wall. Oh, tell me Jade's insinuations caused you problems in your domestic home life without telling me. I said, God damn. Whew. So what do we learn from this entire spat? Well, a lot. However, I think the two most important things are, one, don't with Jade Cargill on this app, and two, Rhea Ripley may have lost the Twitter war. She's definitely going to find a creative way to play the game and come out on top at WrestleMania. I want to thank you guys for rolling with me again this week and hopping on the short bus. It's a pretty good show, right? We chat, bust some balls, have a few laughs, maybe learn something, share some opinions. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys rolling with me. Hey, please do me a favor. Tell the world. Contact Busted Open. Contact anybody who's looking for good podcasts. Let them know. Tell a friend. Tell the person in line at the CVS pharmacy. Tell the person at the drive-thru at the Checkers. Let them know Timmy Baltimore's the real. Tell them to go to the YouTube. YouTube.com/@LiMPiN AiNT. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Turn on the notifications. Or check out the podcast at LiMPiN AiNT with Timmy Baltimore. Click follow there. And you can keep up with little Tim Tim on the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at the handle @Timmy Baltimore. That's going to do it for this week, guys. Remember, you should find yourself cursed by Danhausen. You're going to need to call Papa Shango. I think Godfather has his number. That's the show. See you next week.
I'm finished.